Welcome to The Explainer. You know, if you look up at the sky or just watch the ocean tides, you see it everywhere. Creation displays this remarkable, comforting consistency. We build our entire daily routines around the God-ordained laws that govern our universe. We completely expect gravity to hold us down. We expect the sun to rise in the east and set in the west. We even know, scientifically speaking, that our sun has billions of years left to burn. So naturally, we deeply trust the physical ground beneath our feet. But what if I told you there's something far more permanent than the physical universe we stand on? Today, we're unpacking a fascinating, almost mind-bending theological statement that completely flips our understanding of reality and permanence. Okay, let's dive into this. What is more certain than the sun rising tomorrow? For most of us, well, nothing. Night following day is the ultimate guarantee. We literally use phrases like, as sure as the sun will rise, to describe absolute certainties. But we're going to challenge that assumption today, because according to ancient scripture, there is a truth that outlasts even the solar system. Section 1. The illusion of permanence. We're exploring a central paradox today, the stark contrast between our fading natural world and eternal truth, starting with this massive, sweeping claim made by Jesus. Heaven and earth will pass away, but my words will not pass away. That's Matthew 24:35. The contrast here is just brilliant, and it's so deliberate. He places the eventual total destruction of the earth on one side and the permanent, unyielding nature of his words on the other. It really highlights the unchanging nature of the truth he speaks. He's essentially saying, you can trust what I am telling you more than you can trust the very ground you're sitting on. Section 2. The Olivet Discourse. To truly grasp the magnitude of Jesus' claim here, we've got to first ground his words in their historical setting. He didn't just say this in a vacuum. This statement is the climax of what scholars call the Olivet Discourse. It's named this because Jesus was physically sitting on the Mount of Olives in Jerusalem when he spoke it. In this teaching, he was explaining the signs of the end of the age to his followers. And he used a really practical earthly analogy, a fig tree. He explained that when a fig tree starts to grow leaves, it's a reliable sign that summer is near. You see the leaves, you know it's coming, right? In that exact same way, he was teaching that cosmic signs indicate that judgment is near. And right at the peak of describing this world-ending judgment, he offers the ultimate comfort. Even when the heavens and earth pass away, his words will never perish. Section 3. Creation's inevitable end. Now, what's really interesting about this slide is that this idea of destruction wasn't a brand new concept isolated to Jesus. It actually reflects a deeply consistent theme found throughout both the Old and New Testaments regarding a temporary, cursed world. Centuries before Jesus, the ancient prophet Isaiah described the earth's fate with this vivid imagery. The earth staggers like a drunken man, it sways like a hut, and it falls and will not rise again. Understanding this fate sheds so much light on the contrast Jesus makes. Isaiah is painting a picture of a present world that is buckling under a heavy weight, and the source text tells us exactly what that weight is. The world was cursed because of sin way back in Genesis chapter 3. It was never meant, in its current fallen state, to last forever. We see this picked right back up in the New Testament. The Apostle Peter adds some incredibly intense, detailed confirmation to Isaiah's ancient prophecy. In 2 Peter, he writes that the day of the Lord will come unexpectedly, like a thief. He says the heavens will pass away with a roar. He literally describes heavenly bodies being burned up and dissolved, and the earth and all its works being exposed. It's wild to think about, but one day the sun, moon, and stars will simply cease to exist. Section 4. The Promise of Renewal. But before we get too overwhelmed by all this cosmic destruction, I want to reassure you that in the biblical narrative, destruction is not the final chapter. It's actually a step towards something uncursed. Let's move to and see how this builds across the biblical timeline, mapping out the exact progression mentioned by Isaiah and Peter. Step 1. We have our present world, which, as we saw from Genesis, is cursed by sin. Step 2. The day of the Lord, characterized by the destruction and judgment. But look at step 3. New heavens and earth, a time of renewal and righteousness. Isaiah revealed that a new, uncursed world will arise, where former things aren't even remembered. And Peter echoed this, saying believers are waiting for a new heaven and earth in which righteousness dwells. And the book of Revelation serves as the breathtaking final witness, perfectly echoing the earlier promises of renewal. The Apostle John writes, "Then I saw a new heaven and a new earth, for the first heaven and the first earth had passed away, and the sea was no more." The overarching biblical consensus is clear. The physical heavens and earth as we know them are absolutely not eternal.
Section 5. The Eternal Word.
Bringing this narrative right back to Jesus' original claim about his words outlasting the physical universe. And this brilliantly illustrates how Jesus was directly foreshadowed. Isaiah chapter 40 sets up this amazing contrast between perishing nature and eternal truth. On the temporary side, the grass withers, the flower fades. On the eternal side, but the word of our God will stand forever. Jesus is adopting the very language of the prophets here to show that while nature perishes, divine truth stands forever. So the crucial point is that when Jesus says his words will never pass away, he's building on his own previous teachings. In the Sermon on the Mount, found in Matthew 5:18, he said that until heaven and earth disappear, not the smallest letter, not the least stroke of a pen will disappear from the law. By applying the same eternal standard to his own spoken words in Matthew 24, Jesus is revealing something really profound. His words share the exact same eternal nature as the Father's inscribed Old Testament scripture. They are absolutely equal in authority and permanence. Because ultimately, the eternal permanence of the Word is tied directly to the unchanging character of God himself. Consider this beautiful passage from Psalm 102. Speaking of the earth and heavens, the psalmist writes, "They will perish, but you will remain. They will all wear out like a garment. But you are the same, and your years have no end." God's character never changes, and because his character is eternally fixed, his words are eternally fixed. Which leaves us with this vital question to close out our explainer today. Heaven and earth will pass away. So what are you building your life upon? Are you anchoring your hopes, your identity, and your truth to a physical universe that the text tells us is fading like a worn-out garment? Or are you anchoring to the eternal, unchanging word that will outlast the stars? It's a powerful thought to take with you. Thank you for joining me, and keep seeking the truth.